Okay. Alright, so good morning, y'all. Happy Monday. How was everyone's weekend?
Terrible.
What? Terrible? Why?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay, good. I was really. It was okay. It was a weekend. So today we're going to be doing the questions to All Summers in a Day, the story you guys have read with Mr. Rutledge. Can you guys please get your Chromebooks out and open those questions? And also please get your story out. Thank you, Miley. Good job. So your story and the questions should be on your desk. All of this gloomy weather, that rain this weekend really threw me off, you know? Is your Chromebook dead?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Well, some chargers in the back if you need one.
There's a loader.
Yeah, why don't you grab the loaner? If neither of them are turning on, I will be reading the questions out loud so that you can just write down the answers and go back to them when you're ready. They are all multiple choice, so it's not like any writing responses will be in the questions. So let's just do that. Hugo, are you finding your? Yeah, perfect.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're good. Alright, does everyone have their questions? I'm gonna check. Good. Good. If they're all dead, you can just write them down on a piece of paper. Perfect, thank you so much. Are they all dead?
Yeah.
Because you guys never plug them in after you use them.
Oh.
Oh.
This
You got,
one's on.
oh, okay, good, so bring it over. Charger stuff, guys.
It was a long.
I know, it was a long weekend. Okay, while Andy is getting that open and ready, I'll start the first question. How does the setting influence the story? So what kind of setting are we dealing with in this story? You guys remember how it kind of goes? Yeah, it was a long weekend. So right now we are on Venus, different planet entirely. It's raining constantly there for 7 years. So how do you think that setting influences our story? The first answer gives us the setting allows the portrayal of device characters. The setting is a central force in the conflict of the story. The setting portrays an uninhabited land. The setting is an analogy for the protagonist. What do we feel might work best here for a real rainy, gloomy land? Do you think? Let's see if we can't cross out ones. Which one do you feel like is not the one that feels correct to the story? We're on question 1. Hugo, which one do you feel doesn't fit well with question 1 that we can take out?
I'm on the wrong.
Oh, you're on the wrong document, that's okay. Riley, do you know which one do you think we can take out completely?
I feel like we could take out the D.
Yeah, D doesn't kind of work here. It's an analogy for the protagonist. I mean, if we really deep dive into the story, it could be, but it's not really what we're looking for. So D can go away. That's not it. Does anyone else have one that really just doesn't really make sense with this sort of question? Noah, do you think you've got one? No? Yeah. Hugo, do you think maybe? You want me to read them again?
What's the assignment called?
The assignment is All Summers in a Day questions or comprehension tests. Okay. So let's think about the setting itself, right? It's an entirely rainy day. Okay. That kind of causes everyone to feel a certain way, right? The rain makes people feel tired, upset. Do you think the characters in the story are feeling sort of that angst and energy in a applying it to Margot through their bullying,
Yes.
kind of. So which one of those answers feels more in line with that sort of conclusion, that the setting is making people feel angry?
D.
Well, we crossed out D.
A.
The setting allows the portrayal for diverse characters. So diverse characters means different characters, right? I'm looking more for B would be the correct
That's
answer.
what I
The
was
setting is the force of the conflict of the story, right? The bullying, the locking in the closet and everything. Yes.
Did we highlight it?
Yes, please highlight it. Highlight in whatever color you want. Yeah, perfect. So, let's move on. Look at this sentence from the story. Which word below is a synonym for frail? We defined frail last week, right? She was a very frail girl who looked as if she'd been lost in the rain for years. Noah said D, which would be correct, right? Fragile, weak. That's what we've really defined the answer to be. So let's highlight D together. I mean, if we look back in this story, there are many times where we see her as just being frail. We describe her as pale, really tired, not having any sun will do that to you. Alright, question 3 starts with a quote, but then they always awoke to tattering drums. How does the figurative language in this sentence impact the meaning? What do you feel, or what kind of sort of sense do you get when you hear tattering drums? Do you think it's invoking your hearing, your sight, your taste, or your scent? Your hearing, right? Tattering drums, like beating on something. That's the sense of hearing. So Bradbury appeals to the reader's sense of hearing to emphasize the endless sound of rain, right? So he is trying to get your hearing to focus. All good? You guys ready to move on? Perfect. Question 4. How do the other students feel about Margot? Do they want to be her friend? Or they just don't know how? Does it seem like they want to be her friend? No. I mean,
I think B.
you think B, they ignore her because she's different? I do like that answer. I feel like this could be a really ambiguous question. The only two that I really don't feel would work here is what? A probably doesn't work, right? What else doesn't feel right? D, right? They like her, but she's too pretty? That feels weird. Is it C, they're mean to her because they're jealous?
Yeah.
I do like that. I feel it could be B or C, so you can pick which one's best for you. I picked C because if you think about it, she's from Earth, she's seen the sun, that's all they want, right? But that could also be why they ignore her too. They're like, oh, you're different, you've seen the sun. But C feels more correct because they're more mean than ignore.
Alright, they treated her badly.
Oh yeah, they treat her horribly. Question 5, how often does the sun come out? This should be pretty quick and easy, right? How often?
7 years.
Yeah, 7 years, perfect. That's stated in paragraph 2. It has been raining for 7 years. Question 6, what could be an alternate title for the story? This is a more an ambiguous question. You could go either way with this. Everyone's got a different opinion here. So what do you guys feel that really doesn't work? I feel like there's one here that just doesn't work.
Is it B?
B, the
D.
storm of the century. D, an underground school. I feel D kind of doesn't work here. Because if you think about it, Andy, 7 years of rain, that's a storm. But is that really what we're looking for? Maybe not. So you guys pick between A or C. A rainy day, the worst day ever. But yeah, underground school, no, worst. Story never talked about it being underground. All right. Question 7, based on what you've read in the story, draw on evidence of Margot's personality. How will she react when they let her out of the closet? Will she A, she will yell and scream at her classmates? She will go play in the rain? She will complain to her teacher? She will cry by herself?
D.
You feel D?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel D too. She seems like a quiet little person who doesn't, get defensive real quick. I feel like she might cry and be really upset that she lost something that she's always wanted, right? So please highlight D. I'm moving through these quickly, guys. Alright. Guys ready for A? Yeah. If Margot had not been locked in the closet, she would most likely have been A, scared to go outside, B, upset her classmates do not like her, C, unhappy or happy to see the sun, D, uncaring.
I feel like C.
You feel like C, Marley? I agree. I feel like C works here too. I mean, earlier in the story, there was talk that her father and mother were taking her back to Earth next year. It seemed vital to her. Vital, what did we define as?
Important.
Important, right? It seemed really important for her to get back to Earth. Maybe because of the sun. Maybe she was feeling sickly and depressed that she couldn't